Hello and welcome to week 2 of the new and improved Establish the Bets. My name is Adam Levitan. Each Friday night, as you know, I'll be joined by Matthew Davidow to talk all things betting, NFL sides, and totals. One more time, for those of you guys who don't know who Matt is, I will just say I don't think many people, or hardly any, are winning long-term on NFL sides and totals. I know Matt is or was one of the most successful NFL bettors before getting on the other side of the counter, starting the odds-making company Deck Prism, which recently merged with the Huddle. So now Matt is out there taking bets, taking big bets, taking on all comers. Matt, happy week 2. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good, Adam.
Good.
Before we see you again,
here, one quick reminder: if you do bet sports, you should be grinding for the best line, just an absolute must. And you need money on a lot of different books. Good news is they will literally pay you a lot to sign up. That includes our MGM offer, where you get a 1K free bet plus $100 coupon to use at ETR. Check it out on the Sportsbook bonus offers page. All right. Week 1, Matt. Everybody says there's overreactions. Everybody's overreacting. I kind of think that you need to react to some stuff. How do you feel about week 1, overreactions, people not reacting enough, market not reacting enough, et cetera, et cetera?
I mean, for sure. I mean, one of the things I've always done, Adam, is before the season starts, before week 1, I have a basic, what I call an uncertainty rating system. So like some teams could have a large uncertainty, say Detroit this year or Washington. If other teams that basically have the same players and same coaches they've had last year, year before, Baltimore being one. So a team with a lot of uncertainty, you want to move more, move whatever numbers you're using more. Team with less uncertainty, obviously, it means less.
Yep. One thing that I thought from week 1 is worry about Trey Lance. And like, I know that it was raining. I know it was ugly, but man, I'm worried about Trey Lance. Now, maybe it doesn't matter this week against the Seahawks, so we can get to that game in a little bit. That was one thing that I was worried about. I'm also worried about the Packers offense. I know you were on Packers under in win totals. After watching that, I'm worried about the Packers stuff. And I actually thought that, as expected, the Texans, I was higher than market on the Texans. I thought they played a pretty good game. What do you think about those takeaways? Any other takeaways you had from week 1?
I think I disagree with all three. The Lance, I mean, we knew Lance was not a good quarterback. And from a fantasy standpoint, does he have to be a good quarterback?
No.
You need him to run. You need him to throw deep, wide open. You don't really need him to be.
He's awesome in fantasy. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think everybody kind of knew what they were going to get from Lance. And honestly, I didn't see much of the week 1 game. I mean, they played in a giant puddle.
Yeah.
From what I read and a couple of the clips I saw, yeah, he looked like he did last year, which is, I think, as expected. He's only played in a few games. He'll get better. I mean, I actually kind of like San Francisco this week. Seattle was so bad Monday night. They had 10 or 11 really good scripted plays that were just out-coached Denver by a lot in the first half. Never ran them again. I mean, the second half had nobody open, no time to throw. Geno looked like Geno. I think Seattle was really, really bad, and this should be a big game for the Niners and Lance.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about the game. So let's go right there to the Seattle at San Francisco game. I kind of, in a previous life, I used to get really hung up on the situational stuff. In other words, Seahawks coming off this really big emotional win in the Russell Wilson Bowl. They're on a short week. Then they have to go on the road. Meanwhile, San Francisco has this humiliating loss, and now they get to come home and play the Seahawks. So to me, it strikes me as like a really good spot for the 49ers. Is that just donkey thinking about the situational stuff, rest, emotional wins, et cetera, et cetera?
Rest definitely matters a ton in football. I mean, think about how if anyone's played high school football, or further, think about how you feel after a game or a practice. So the rest is obviously a very big deal. I have always been, if someone asks me what is your biggest weakness in sports betting, it's the situational, the motivational stuff. I never really had a good feel for it, and I don't have is Seattle down or too high after the win? I mean, I would doubt it. I do think that San Francisco would be more focused this week, having to come into obviously the season with winning expectations, and I mean, let's not see a very winnable game. Now, I will say about San Francisco, quantitatively, the numbers, they were fine in that game. The Bears were every bit as bad. The Bears, the Jets, the Seattle, these are some bad football teams. And I don't think, that game was a one-off in the rain with some big plays that went the Bears' way. I don't think there was much to that at all. I think San Francisco will be fine, maybe a little above average, good defense, good coaching. Obviously, Kittle is a big deal. I don't know if he's back or not. He seems very questionable.
Yeah, questionable.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, situationally, I don't think I have a real good thought, other than anytime you think a situation is like very much in the line, especially with the pros. I tend to like to fade those situations. I don't know if this is one of them. Again, like I said, I like San Fran touch. There's a lot of strong Seattle money out there, though.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. I mean, I thought it was a really good spot for San Francisco. Also, let's go to the Bucks game. So this line opened Bucks 3.5. You don't typically see too many lines cross 3. This one did, although it was very early in the week. What do you think about lines crossing 3 and then this Bucks Saints game?
Well, for what the line is now from where 3.5 was, I mean, there's it's like 2 3/4 now, so maybe like a 6% move, which is definitely a big move in the NFL. And if I were making an over on this game, I would have made it 3.5 as well. The money on the Saints was sharp, and I mean, if Winston plays like he did in the fourth quarter, the line should definitely be lower. My numbers had the line higher, but one thing that I never like to do, especially during the season, if I have an opinion on a team that against the market, say Tampa. I don't like Tampa. I think their offensive line is not that good. I think their defense should take a step back. I think Brady should be a little worse, although I want to clarify So Brady was, in my mind, definitely worse last year than the year before, but it doesn't mean he was bad. And it certainly doesn't mean his results are bad. He's had a great offensive line, great receivers. They have excellent offensive coaching. He's got a lot of stuff going for him his way. And by me saying he's worse, we're talking about the best player of all time, doesn't mean he's bad. And to watch a 45-year-old with the core strength to make some of those throws he made on Sunday night was very, very impressive. So, I do think watching that game, he is a touch worse, a touch slower with his feet. And I think Tampa's destined for a mediocre season despite their start. And maybe that hence for the Saints money.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of offensive line injuries. I mean, we're talking about 4 now offensive line injuries for the Bucks. I mean, they have a real problem there on the offensive line for Dak. I want to ask about the Cowboys game. Obviously, Dak Prescott's worth a lot. How do you quantify how much the Dak to Cooper Rush stuff is worth, and what do you think about the Cowboys-Bengals game?
But so, I mean, most people talk about quantifying in points or percentages, and all of our stuff is simulations with inputs. So we move inputs. We have different quarterback inputs, different things, the quarterback effects, and we just move those inputs, and whatever comes out of the simulation comes out. Mm-hmm. So in this game, I think we definitely would have made Dallas a point or two favorite, and they're obviously a 7-point dog now. She made the game about 6 3/4. Now, when 8s were out there though too, I mean, having watched Dallas, I mean, last week with Dak, who I'm quite a fan of, and I think is quite good, and having seen Rush and other non-Dak quarterbacks for Dallas recently, it's I would have a tough time backing Dallas this week, but
yeah.
So I think we'll see that line creep back up.
Okay, Carolina and the Giants, I think, is a interesting game. Baker Mayfield against Daniel Jones. What do you think about that one?
I love Carolina. I mean, I think that the Giants, by the numbers in the Tennessee game, they were fine, but I don't think a lot of Tennessee and so many of the good Giant plays were, I mean, the long touchdown was a complete breakdown by the Tennessee safety. Saquon Barkley broke a ton of tackles. I know, sure, it looks like Saquon's back, and I'm sure he'll break a lot of tackles this year. But I watched that game pretty closely, and I think both of those are not very good football teams, Tennessee and the Giants. And the Giants were very, very poor in the line of scrimmage, especially on the offensive side. The Carolina defensive line, despite getting run over a little bit by the Browns, they're pretty good, especially coming after the quarterback. I think Carolina should be a small favorite in that game.
Okay. What about no love for our Lions, man? The market does not respect the market does not respect hashtag our Lions. The market does not respect restore the roar. And this is the first time they've been a favorite in a very, 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 very long time, but they're only a 1-point favorite against Carson Wentz.
Take a picture of that one. I don't know how long they're staying favorite. I think there's more Washington money coming.
No, more Washington money?
They were falling over themselves to lay 6 on game day last week with the Eagles. And obviously we got lucky with the back door on that one. And anytime there's no back door this time. I will say, despite Washington looked good in the first half last week, second half not so much. And Jacksonville, I thought that was a poorly played football game as well, Washington Jacks. But I do like the Lions this week. I say fade the money. But you might want to wait till you catch a plus side because I do think there's more Washington money out there.
Oh my God, there's more Washington money. Listen, if the Lions don't win this game, we are dead with our futures. We're Dan Campbell, Coach of the Year, is dead. NFC North bet is dead. Win total is not looking great. We need a win here for.
We're all going back to the den if we don't win this one, Adam.
Couple more here. I want to ask you about Tennessee and Buffalo is the first Monday night game. Very long week for the Bills. You and I both agree that Tennessee is not a good football team this year. I was surprised the line actually wasn't a little bit bigger. What do you think about Titans and Bills?
I was surprised it was a little bit bigger either, and I'm surprised it hasn't moved. I don't know whether it will move. I think any system that takes into account a decent bit of last year and the year before, and I mean, remember this is the team that has, the same coaching as last year, the same quarterback for the last couple of years. A lot of similar players would have to like Tennessee in this spot. Man, the Bills were super impressive last week, and anytime you're laying 10, one thing that always comes up is how is this team going to play up 7, up 10, up 14 late in the game? And what I've seen the Bills the last few years, I mean, we saw it on Thursday night, they were still trying to score up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And that's the type of attitude you want when you're laying 10 points. I think the line's low. I think it will go up, and I think Buffalo will Buffalo will roll them.
Well, typically on these like big Monday night primetime games and stuff, the public can move a line, right? Normally, like it's not that much public money that moves a line, if I understand correctly. But on these island games, maybe they can, and they're going to be on Buffalo.
Right. It's so much that the public can move the line. It's more that the more public action there is, and then if there's a game that there's, say a lack of action from people that books generally move off of, or nobody's really playing the game for a lot. Well, then, I mean, think about it. You're a bookmaker. You have no action coming in. You're trading for DraftKings, you're trading for FanDuel. You really no sharp action coming in at all. And every bet you see on the ticker is obviously, on the minus side. What are you going to do? You creep it up a little bit. You creep it up a little bit more. I actually think that this is something we try very hard to do at Deck Prism is if there's not sharp dog money, we try to get the lineup, and that does provide here and there, some value on the dog. So I do think that if you're looking, especially now with like 40 lines a game, you find the right alternate, etc. The lines should be at 10. Now I wouldn't go with that one because I like the favorite, but I think that is a general good strategy is to look for an off price here and there on the dog, on a Monday night game.
Okay. Last thing I want to ask you about was futures. Obviously, you guys are booking futures. Also, it's a huge market. I actually don't know how big the market is, but it feels to me like everybody's always like, oh, here's the new Super Bowl. I have a new Super Bowl bet. I have a new division winner bet, et cetera, et cetera. I thought the Vikings, I'm pissed that I didn't get on the Vikings future stuff before week 1 because I thought that they would win week 1. They did, and now their prices are much worse, obviously. What do you think about the Vikings and future stuff? Did I miss the boat? Is it too late to take Vikings futures?
I don't think so. Especially early in the season, one of the you're talking about like a Super Bowl future, like where you're getting the price. And one thing that is called a soft skill that people don't consider enough, and going back to this uncertainty, you don't necessarily want to play a team that's like, say, 5th or 6th best, that you kind of know is 5th or 6th best. Like, maybe an example here is the Rams. The Rams really don't have a lot of uncertainty. They're good, not great. They're clearly not the best. You know what you're getting. The Vikings, they got a new coach. They've got a quarterback who's been great in the past and possibly was held back by recent coaching. You've got a second-year receiver who's obviously looks like he's playing out of his mind. You have the defense that looked fantastic in week 1. They got a few new players, so much uncertainty there. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a team that's currently 5th or 6th best that could easily be 1st best. Also, and the reason I tweeted it Monday, everything that could have possibly fell Minnesota's way fell their way on Sunday. The rest of the division lost. They got a division win. The other teams that were supposed to be decent in the NFC looked terrible. And the Eagles and the Vikings were the only teams that kept coming out of the NFC Sunday looked at all reasonable. I think every other good team was a downgrade. I think the Bucs won and were downgraded. I mean, the Cowboys went from having an actual chance to be in dead in 1 week, and that's not something you generally see in the NFL. That's why I was like, whoa, this is a good value right here.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I guess my only point on that is like, should we wait till like if you think the Eagles are going to win, you're obviously going to get a better price on the Vikings, but I guess you're just basically flipping a coin in that
I mean,
game
if you
between the
think
Eagles
Eagles
and
are going
Vikings.
to win, go bet the Eagles.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Do you have an opinion on the Vikings-Eagles game at all?
Nah, I'm making that right on. Should
Okay.
be a good game. I'm excited to watch it.
Okay, perfect. All right. I might be out there on the Vikings shopping for a price here tonight. Appreciate the time from Matt, as always, as he's firing off, or I guess not firing off, he's accepting people firing off on college football here tonight in the NFL. Going forward, you can always check out Matt's stuff on Twitter. Tell the people where they can find you on Twitter, Matt. Some of Matt's in-game stuff creates so much controversy. Like when people say, like, "Oh, you had this percent to if he would have gone for a fourth year, it would have been this percent in the simulation and stuff like that." People get really riled up about that stuff. So tell the people where they can find you on Twitter.
It's at Davidow Matthew, or the easiest way might be just clicking on Adam, and he's linked me a number of times recently. Might be the easier way than writing that down.
All right, sounds good. That is going to do it for week 2 of Establish the Bets. Appreciate Matt's time as always. For Matt, for producer Adam, I am Adam. Good luck, everybody.